Between Cat in the Bag and the daughter of the Confederate, I really don't know what to think, y'all. Hi loves, Red Later Girl from around the way, where we have culture, conversation, and community. And in today's video, I am going to be talking about the new series on Amazon Prime called Them. Now, before I even get into this conversation, this commentary, I want you to know that Them is a triggering, it's triggering content, and this conversation may be triggering. So I want to go ahead and let you know that ahead of time, because we have to be responsible with one another in today's racial climate, especially as Black people. I understand that there are a lot of Black people who feel like this content was just, degradation porn, or it was just, it's just a lot. So again, with everything that we have going on in the country, if you don't want to watch this series, that's okay. If you feel like this series was triggering, that's okay too. But I want to kind of talk about a couple of things that kind of came to my mind when I was watching this series. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis without actually getting into spoiling it for you all. So Them follows a Black family that travels from North or South Carolina to East Compton, where they purchased a new home, and they're, this is taking place during the Great Migration, which in short is when all the Black people was like, listen, I'm sick of the swamps, I'm sick of living down south, let's go to other places like the north, the south, the north, the east, and the west to escape racial tensions. So it's a family coming from the south to the west coast. All right, boom. So I was in a Clubhouse room recently, which I'm new to Clubhouse, y'all. I've been on Clubhouse for a minute, but I just actually started getting on stage and all this. And the conversation was just about how triggering the content was. Now, I've seen it last week sometime. I was gonna make a video about it, but I chose not to because, I just chose not to because it was just a lot. But after hearing like so many different perspectives, I want to come to y'all and hear what y'all have to think. Now, if you've seen this video, if you've seen the content, Them on Amazon Prime, then you know what I'm talking about. And I want to hear from Black people specifically. White people too. A lot of people are saying that they are making content like this to continue to dehumanize us, to continue to exploit our traumas. They want to own our traumas, okay? And by own, I mean like showing it to us. They're narrating all of the stories. We're not in control of any of these things because it was 10 episodes in a series. I think a Black person only directed one. There were a lot of white Canadian men involved in this series. And again, I said it earlier in the video, but this video is essentially about a Black family moving to the West Coast in hopes of escaping white terrorism, only to find that they've only found more white terrorism. So one of the themes that was in the video, or I'm talking about the video, one of the themes that was in the series, heinous crimes that were committed against Black people. Some Black people think that this is not, for a show to make white people empathize with Black people. It's just to remind white people of their birthright, okay? And if you watch the series, then you know what I mean when I say the birthright, because there was a scene where the main character, I'm just going to call her daughter of the Confederate, she essentially roused up a crowd of white homeowners against the Black homeowners in our neighborhood, because obviously, y'all, when the Great Migration was happening, there was also white flight, which essentially was Black people moving into white neighborhoods, essentially in hopes of making integration really happen. And then those same white people turned around and moved out of that neighborhood into a different location. And there were so many things that came out in this series, which is why I think it's something that is of value, okay? Because they talked about covenants, they talked about redlining, they talked about hospitalization of Black people and what that looks like in the 1950s. They discussed socialization between young Black girls and young white girls, and how there was this need to want to conform, almost kind of wanting to become white. Now, I've gone to a school where I was maybe like one of five ethnic people, not even black, okay, ethnic people of different ethnicities, all right? So I understand what it's like to really, really, really feel like a minority up against a whole bunch of white girls. And they're like, oh, they're little white hair and they're little white pearls and shit. And I'm just looking like a big black girl because that's what I am. And never once did I ever consider wanting to be white. But in terms of in being in the 1950s, right? I can only imagine what little black girls looks like, not even wanting to be white, but wanting to be seen, wanting to be recognized, wanting to be chosen. Okay, so I'm kind of rambling. This is a rant. This is not a serious breakdown because I would have had to, do a whole bunch of stuff. I really just want to hear what you all think about this. This is really a conversation. I want to start going live too, y'all. Again, this is a conversation that I would have liked to have with, maybe on a live so that way I can get some interaction because I really want to hear from black people. Do you feel like them on Amazon Prime was too traumatic? Do you really feel like it was just, degradation porn, trauma porn or something like that? Because I really don't believe that it is. I think that, okay, let me back up some. What I do appreciate about the series is it was an all black family. It wasn't a racially ambiguous. They were black, okay? The woman was black. The main woman, she was a beautiful dark skinned woman. She's actually an African Brit, but you know how they love to put, British people in American stories, child. But that's a whole different other conversation. But and I'm not even to say that because I'm all for Pan Africanism. Like, listen, you wanted me, I'm one of you, and that's just what it is. But we know, whatever the case. But there was a black family, okay, a well-to-do black family. The family, what people saw as aggression in the mother is what I saw as one, a mental breakdown. Because, cat in the bag, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it was a really horrific, traumatic scene or traumatic thing that happened to her that she, one, never addressed and never saw attention for, and then she got thrown into another traumatic experience. And that's what it was to be black in the 1950s, y'all. It was to have trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. Okay, we can even say that today, but still maintaining and still managing. Another thing that I liked about the movie, I keep calling it a movie because I like binge watched it. The series was that it talked about, it really illustrated how much black people had to be better than in order to even just be better normal. And we talk about that a lot. I mean, like, talk about white people and their mediocrity compared to our, overachievements. All right, let's talk about it. So I don't know, y'all. I feel like the timing is wrong. The timing is bad while we're in the middle of a trial. Okay, when people are still being slaughtered down. But here's the thing. I think one of the biggest things in this film too was that there was no white savior. And that's very important because white people ain't here to save us. Okay? They not coming to save. They're not trying to recorrect their wrongs. They're not trying to do any of that. And I think it's fair to make projects that shows that there were no white saviors, okay? And that's just the reality of it sometimes. Nowadays, we have allies, if you can call them that, child, because listen to this. If you subscribe here, if you're following me and you are a white person and you do not speak out against the injustices, you're not an ally. If you are a part of the system that continuously oppresses black people, you are not an ally. If you know that black people are going through something, even if so much, check in on your black friends while this is going on, and you're not doing that, you are not an ally, period. And I think that there's this false conception, this false narrative that we need to see the trauma on screen in order to know what people have gone through. I don't think that. I don't believe in that. I think that my ancestors are alive and through me every day, okay, in the astral, in my dreams, that I don't need to see it on screen to know some of the horrific things that we've been through. But I understand that other people aren't like that. People need to be reminded of the nature of the beast, okay? I'm gonna just say it like that because I gotta keep it cute on this YouTube, y'all. Let's not forget where we're at. But Yeah, it's a thought-provoking piece. Now again, I will say it was some really horrific things that happened in this series that again, I'm all for protecting your mental space. And then there's also the question of desensitization. We see black bodies experiencing trauma on the news in real life in our day to day. So I get that there's a legitimate question to ask whether or not we need to see that on the screen. And and in the very same breath, I think that we need to understand and see it so that we know who we're dealing with. I don't think that this series was made to teach people anything. I think that it's fair to say that it was a drama and a horror story, because black people dealing with white terrorism is a horror story. It is horrific. Okay, there were scenes in this film that hit so close to home that I think that we have to speak to the validity of the content, because here's the thing: we understand that this is a TV show, this is a movie, this is art, but we all know that art imitates life, and there are a lot of truths in the ugliness of white terrorism and the trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma that black people have had to deal with, even to this day, even genetically, okay, because we know that cells have memory. But like, for instance, the whole nigger heaven thing or whatever, I remember, and I'm just sharing a little personal story. When I was growing up, they wrote nigger on my mom's car, and unlike in the film, unlike in the TV series, the dad didn't come out and see it and give us a pep talk. We all saw it together collectively at that moment. And I remember my mom trying to compute as to what to do, and she was just like, you know what, get in the car, we go to school. My mom intentionally left it on the car, to let people see, like, this is what you're doing, or this is what your kids are doing, or whoever did it, whatever the case. And I remember the cops coming to our house and telling my mom that she had to remove it. And it just goes to the point of, these white people know. And it's like, you need to deal with it, whatever the case, and when we do it, you better just sweep it under the rug or whatever the case. And I just feel like now in today's world, it's no more. That's not what we're doing anymore. And I think that because we're not doing it anymore, the art, like I said, art imitates life. Art needs to reflect that as well. There are just so many points in here with dealing with the microaggression, the passive aggression, even real aggression, assault, okay, with in the workplace. Some of the most traumatic things happen to young black adults in the workplace. If you didn't experience it in high school, maybe you were in an all-black community, you experienced it in college. Maybe you got away in college, but at the workplace, you're going to get some of that. Even like some of the things that were coming up from the subconscious from the father. And I wanted to talk about this without giving away too much. Y'all, if y'all want to see me do an in-depth review about this, please like this video and leave a comment, because I will have that coming. I don't know, y'all. If y'all have seen it, I want to know what you all think. If you haven't seen it, I want you to understand that this is really dealing with heavy traumatic issues and pains and plights. I know that there was certain scenes that I just absolutely could not watch and fast forward it and just understood if something bad happened. Later on, I found out what exactly that was, but I just don't need it in my mental real estate. I don't have the capacity for it right now. Again, y'all, interested to know what y'all think. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start the conversation in the comment section, because I will be around, because I'm a lurker. That's what I do. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you like these quick little commentaries, because that lets me know that you like it and I need to do more of it. Anyways, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like and share if you care. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light, and protect your mental health out here in these streets, girl. Please and thank you. All right, peace.